Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We have here an article where an expert is going to give us an assessment. I don't know what your definition of an expert is, but mine is this. Someone who knows a lot about a subject. Someone who knows more than the average, way more than the average human being would know. Someone who knows not only on lateral knowledge, but also in depth. That means you don't know only, your little thing over there. Let's say you want to talk about Russian military, and you know only about numbers, arithmetics. No, you have to know the history, you have to know the economics, you have to know geopolitics, you have to know a lot of other things, how a military is organized, and many other things. So the more complex the subject is, the more you need to know. Lateral knowledge, and then in depth on your little bracket over there. In this case, we have an expert, and the expert is going to tell us something. So let's see how he analyzed or she analyzed this issue, and he reached this conclusion. So this article comes from the New Voice of Ukraine from September 1st, 2022. Russia sending its last reserves of ground forces into battle, says military expert, analyst, expert, all those guys. Also, Russia after this is done. No more ground forces. All right? I mean, it's laughable, right? Russia has sent its last reserve of ground troops into battle. Oleg Zhadanov, a military analyst, told Radio NV on August 30th. All right, let's see. Maybe he's got a point. Maybe he knows things that we don't. He should, because he's an expert. Right? Right. Commenting on the fact that the recently formed Russian Third Army Corps has new military equipment, Zhadanov said that since its mercenaries are considered to be the most motivated infantry, it was decided to provide them with the best weapons currently available in Russia. Okay. The fact that Mulino is the premier tank army, the military expert says, referring to the village of Russia's Nizhny Novgorod Oblast, where the Russian Third Army Corps was based. And this is the Courier tank army that guards Moscow, which included parade sets of vehicles that took part in parades on Red Square. I will tell you, this is the last reserve of Russian ground troops. So let's go further and see. According to Zhadanov, if the Russians have brought out the last T-90 tanks, which have not been seen in Ukraine for a long time, and the T-80BV, which is the latest modernization of the T-80 tank, this means that the last reserves are going into battle. So this is his logic. Now, if you have an ideology, if you have a goal, if you have a narrative, that would work just fine. But what are we going to do with this? Remember when I got about 5 or 6 or 7 articles talking about the Russians don't have missiles anymore and they use the old Soviet ones. And that proved that they are out of the missiles. So that also proved they're out. So if the Russians are bringing old equipment, they're out of the new equipment. If the Russians are bringing the new equipment, T-80, that means they're out of old one and the new one is very limited. So now which one is it? If the Russians use old tanks, they don't have any more. That's done. The new tanks are gone. If they bring the new tanks, oh no, that means that this is the last resort. Do you understand what the hell this guy is talking about? His logic? So what should the Russians bring in order to confuse Mr. Zhadanov, the expert? Both in the same time, and if they bring in the both in the same time, it's going to be like like the last thing on the bottle, that you bottle, come on, the last drop. Is that what's going to be? Everything is mixed in there. It's not the first drop, it's not the last one. Is there something mixed? What is it? You're not going to satisfy this hack. This guy is not an expert. Or if he is an expert, he has a big agenda. And I figured out what agenda is, I think. And the guy said, at the same time, he added that the quality of the mercenaries in the 3rd Army Corps has turned out to be much lower than it should be. Well, this is a statement, but I don't think you have any proof to support that. I'm more than sure. What's that? How can you be more than sure? All right, anyway, that the General Staff has on paper an ideal combat ready corps which it believes should radically change the situation in one of the operational areas, most likely in the Donetsk one, Zhdanov said. There's a little problem here that changes everything for Zhdanov, and I will provide him with information. I heard from New Voice of Ukraine and from the Ukrainska Pravda that the Russians are bringing 90,000 more troops. So what's up, Zhdanov? What's up with those? All right, that's just the first one. I'm gonna knock him out in a second. Let's see if that was the whole thing. No, it's more. But in reality, the volunteers of this corps are of poor quality. Okay, I don't know about that. The Ukrainian General Staff reported on August 30th that Russian forces were deploying the newly formed 3rd Army Corps to reinforce Russian positions in the temporary occupied Kharkiv and Zaporozhye Oblast. At the same time, the US-based Institute for the Study of War said the recently formed 3rd Army Corps is... I lost it here, don't tell me that. Yep, finally found it. Is saying its 3rd Army Corps would not be able to fundamentally change the situation on the battlefield. Ukrainian intelligence on July 29 announced Russia's plans to create the 3rd Army Corps by mid-August. According to the Ukrainian intelligence, Russia has transferred up to 5,000 mercenaries from the Wagner Liga private military company to the temporary occupied territories. There, our mercenaries are used as stormtroops, like the Germans. The thing is like this, Mr. Whatever your name is, what is the... I will start with the beginning. He's an expert, he should know. What is the, how should I say, the number of Russian troops? Is it 300,000? Is it 500,000? Is it 1 million, 3 million, 50 million? From what I read here, it's about 1,100,000 or some active these guys, and about they go up to 2 million with everything else. So I would say they are about 1,300,000. They used in Ukraine so far, they say 160,000 military. Bring 90 more, bring the mercenaries, and you don't reach to let's say 300,000. You don't reach that number. Now 300,000, Mr. Volodin, whatever your name is, it's way below the 1 million and let's say 300,000 that possibly is the active military that Russia has. So it can't possibly run out of people to fight from active duty military. Now, in case Russia says, guys, we're losing, we need, because our motherland is going to be raped again, they have 145 million people. Now you get the adult population, which is, let's say, half of it, half, and you get half of that, which let's say is going to be, so 140 is going to be 70 million. Let's say from 70 you cut it in half and you still get to 35. Let's give you 30 million people. You get to 20 million people. They would be able and willing to defend their motherland and go to Ukraine and mow everything until they reach Lisbon. What are you talking about? This expert, as I said, is just sick with his dogma, with his ideology and his desire to win. I understand that. But you can't call yourself an expert at that time. You're not an expert. At that time you're different, you're called different. You know, so you're a hack in this case because you go under the cloak of expert and actually you are just an activist, a propagandist. So you need to know more than just the party line, my man. You need to, I mean, even if I would have started just with the active military, duty active military personnel of Russia, and still this guy would have been knocked out. I'm not going to say, okay, mobilization, national mobilization, they would bring you 30 million right like that, ready to fight. So what is this guy talking about? He thinks he talks with retards. That's what he thinks. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.